Before we move on, I want to just take a moment to make it clear that we have a lot of speakers who wish to speak tonight. In order for us to get through all the speakers and have everybody get a chance to comment, I'm going to ask that you please make all your comments or ask all your questions within your 2 minutes, and then we're going to go ahead and do a response to that. So please, within the 2 minutes, ask all your questions, all your comments. We're not going to be stopping in the middle of the 2 minutes. That's going to get too confusing, and we're not going to be able to get through all the speakers. So our next speaker is Patrick Murray.
Hello, my name is Patrick Murray. I live and work in Culver City, and having grown up in Boston, I have seen all the options that are laid out there put into practice, especially with the Green Line being the MBTA in Boston. And with that, I would highly, strongly support the use of the right-of-way for the options, and also the Olympic option down in Santa Monica. But I do have concerns that the traffic count surveys for the grade crossings to determine the mitigations were a bit anemic and may not have captured a good representation of the traffic patterns around the grade crossing. In fact, other agencies have asked you to re-survey the crossings. I've seen references to the actual traffic counts in the draft DIR, but I have not seen those traffic count data anywhere online. I was wondering if, at least for now, you could describe the traffic count dates and times that they were done for Overland, and also in future put out the data online so that they could be seen and studied.
We did hundreds and hundreds of counts all over the project area, including Overland. At Overland, we did both peak hour and 24-hour counts. We did them
Give us dates and times, please.
We did them in the spring of 2008, and again prior to that, I think in the spring of 2007. We made sure that we did them when school was in session, which is sort of typically the peak traffic time. We do have a voluminous technical background report in traffic that is available if you'd like to get it. If you can leave maybe an email address or something with us, with Gabby, we can send a disc to you, and it has all the individual traffic count sheets in it, and it is being updated, of course, for the final, and would be available for folks who want to pour through it again as well. And just as a personal aside, I grew up in Boston too.
Okay, thank you very much.
Our next speaker is VJ Wax.
Yes, I'm Victoria Wax. I live on 11041 Richland Avenue in Los Angeles. I'm right around the corner from where the rail is proposed. That's not the only hole in your study. The traffic study provides data that are not applicable to the proposed residential corridor and are not significant. Most of the data is from 2007, so outdated as to be useless to determine impact. Well-established anecdotal interviews support a 2- to 3-fold increase in the number of cars in the corridor since 2007. The study did not examine the number of cars per minute nor the number of cars per lane per unit time in the Sawtell, Sepulveda, Military, Westwood, and Butte corridors, as is customary with modern studies. The traffic impact portion of the study is contestable. It may take 42 seconds to clear the intersections in these studies. The studies do not address that it may take now 3 times longer to reach that intersection. Traffic study also does not address increased driver hostility due to delays caused by congestion in the train itself. Incidents of road rage and subsequent increases in accident rate and fatalities are expected. The inability of emergency vehicles to access the area as a result of the train and the congestion caused by it at peak hours has not been addressed anywhere in any of the study that you propose. This is contestable should the project proceed. No part of the study addresses the effects of increased congestion in the corridor and the increase in particulate matter, car exhaust, increased greenhouse emissions caused by vehicles stopped, and heat caused by stationary vehicles, and the train itself due to loss of trees and the increase in cement and radiating surfaces. EPA fact sheet ON 5-S, car exhaust at ground level is toxic in the form of ozone, nitrous oxide, carbon monoxide, and benzene, the main toxin in exhaust. The rail will increase car density and stationary exhaust in an already congested residential area. This overturns any improvement in the so-called carbon signature of the rail system. Pollution will not be relieved by the rail, it will be dramatically increased by it. This issue is contestable should the project proceed.
Will Daryl, Rare, Evelyn, Sylvie, and Ian Crossfield, please line up at the microphone. Our next speaker is Donna Blast.
Hi, I have a prepared statement. In your own environmental impact report, you can see that phase 2 on the proposed Expo Line project will have a severe impact on the Rancho Park neighborhood. We are already functioning as a transportation corridor with unmitigable noise and environmental pollution from the freeway junctions in Santa Monica Airport. Despite the promises made by government entities, the curfew on jets is routinely ignored, leaving residents with no confidence in the pledges made by governmental agencies. This is further borne out by a recent visit to the Gold Line, where area residents told me that the promises of the MTA are routinely violated. Residents were misled about noise, the impact on property values, higher traffic congestion, new crossing delays, and auto emissions from idling vehicles at rail crossings. They are unable to open their windows due to noise and pollution. They have been forced to purchase dual glazed windows and central air conditioning at their own expense, except in rare cases where small neighborhood associations successfully sued the MTA. The proposed Expo Line runs immediately adjacent to multiple elementary and secondary schools despite community safety concerns, as well as peer-reviewed journal studies documenting that children exposed to rail noise perform below grade level relative to their peers in quieter settings. There are 2 major stations proposed for the neighborhood with a total of 430 parking spaces and no toilet facilities. Based on parking structures in Santa Monica, our projected public urination will be a problem.
No.
The proposed sound wall will not only create an unsightly barrier to divide the neighborhood, but make it a target.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Darrell Ware.
I'm Darrell Ware. I live on Military Avenue, Illinois. I went to the Gold Line today in Pasadena, and well, this is what it sounds like. Every 5 minutes or 12 minutes for the rest of your life. At Military Avenue, which is down the block from where I live, there will be approximately 250 crossings a day if the Gold Line or Blue Line schedules are any model. That's 91,250 crossings per year. It goes on for 15 seconds at a time. 380 hours of this per year. Now, a little more than an hour a day. 16 days of this per year. A constructive suggestion that I have for that particular intersection, Military Avenue, is to let the train go through. Military Avenue is a minor through street. We have Westwood on one side, Spolton on the other side, widening Sepulveda up. I strongly suggest that you let the train go through so we don't have this 380 hours.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Evelyn Sylvie.
My name is Evelyn Sylvie. I live on Tilden Avenue. I read the direct environmental impact report for phase 2, and this plan is going to devastate our neighborhood. By your own study, we are already heavily impacted environmentally. And as documented by your sound study, 2 years old, our neighborhood sound decibel level is at a continuous 67 and already at the highest level of noise humans tolerate. We also are frequently exposed to decibel peak levels of up to 150 decibels with jets, small planes and helicopters from Santa Monica Airport, emergency vehicle sirens, motorcycles and trucks, not only using major arteries, but 2 of the world's largest and most heavily traveled freeways, the 10 and 405 interchange. This noise is 24/7 continuous for us. Your rail line is going to be adding more noise, with trains idling in the stations at decibels of 60.